Hey guys, welcome back to some more videos. I am Horrorboy465, aka Nate Murphy, the Explorer of Horror here. Welcome back to some more reviews. And today I'm be doing a DVD update. And if you guys see a different background like this, I'm basically over at my mom's. And that's why it's like a lot of a different background. I'm basically back here in the storage room doing this video because this is one of the most quietest rooms in the house, and one of the rooms I can have a lot of privacy and doing videos in and not getting interrupted and stuff like that. So I come back here to do videos because it's really quiet back here. So that's why during the broadcast stuff like that, if you guys, I tried to mute my mic sometimes so that you guys couldn't hear a bunch of like moving around and stuff because when you're doing a 3-hour video in the storage room, there's not a lot of room to move around, so it gets very cramped. But I basically, basically whenever I'm over here, I'm over at my mom's in the basement. So yeah, that's why if you guys see a different background, I'm just over here at my mom's. But anyways, decided to do a DVD update today because I picked up some horror movies, and I also picked up one action movie. But yeah, so let's get started with the DVD update of 7/14/2016. Got a little bit of a sniffle today, guys. So just bear with me. But first movie picked up is a movie that still did not complete my Exorcist movie collection. I still got to buy Exorcist 2. I do have it for VHS. I kept the VHS because I don't have DVD. But whenever I do get the DVD, I'll throw away that VHS. But I do have the VHS of Exorcist 2: The Heretic, but I don't have the DVD. But I did pick up this Dominion prequel to The Exorcist. Now, this is pretty much Exorcist 4, only a different vision. It was made by Paul Schrader, and he's a different director. And from what I've heard, this movie's pretty different. It has the same cast. Well, at least it still has. I believe it's Stellan Skarsgård. But I do know that it does have the same lead guy that plays Father Merrin in this. Um, it's the same guy from Exorcist 4, the beginning. But from what I've heard, this isn't as good as Exorcist 4, and I think the Exorcist 4 is a decent film. Has some pretty good shots. Kept it very, 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 very basic prequel, but yet again, it was very different. And Rennie Harlan did a good job directing it. The only problems I had with Exorcist at the beginning is the CGI effects were not that good. And you know, maybe a couple of the actors didn't do that well, but the lead guy and his girlfriend did a good job. The twist at the end of the movie is pretty good, but this is Dominion prequel to The Exorcist. Came out in 2005, and it still is a prequel to The Exorcist, but it's a different vision, different director, or it's got a different look, total different movie. So you got Exorcist the beginning, and you got this movie, Dominion prequel to The Exorcist. Pretty much is a different director, different vision, uh, just a different movie, different prequel. So I'm actually gonna check it out later, probably, because I actually am interested in watching it because it is a total different movie. Some similar themes from what I've heard. It's not like a total different movie. There's still some stuff in there that's the same, but from what I've heard, it is a different movie. But you still have the lead actor from the previous movie. You got him in this movie. You've also got a couple other people, I think. But this was not Rennie Harlan's film. This was Paul Schrader's film. But yeah, Dominion prequel to The Exorcist. I'll check it out. I haven't heard a lot of good things about it, but I will check it out. So yeah, Dominion prequel to The Exorcist. Gotta give you guys a good look at the DVD. Yeah, Dominion prequel to The Exorcist. Picked that up. I also picked up a Stephen King movie that I've not really heard the best things about, but Thinner. And I always thought it said like the theme. Like if you look closely, especially if it's like this in the shelf, it looks like it says the thing on it. But then if of course you flip it over, it says Thinner. And that's a pretty cool idea of how the letters get thinner as the word thinner, goes along the DVD case. But I remember this being on Netflix. I remember watching a couple minutes of it, and I didn't really get bored with it. It was just maybe because I was really busy at the time. I just stopped watching it. But I haven't heard the best things about this movie. From what I've heard, it's one of Stephen King's um, sort of lesser known movies that doesn't really get talked about a lot. It's got practical effects in there. The idea sounds pretty interesting about a guy who gets his curse and he gets thinner and thinner every single day or something like that from a gypsy. And basically, this guy has to figure out, I think, about the curse and about how it's making him thinner and thinner every day. Interesting idea, but from what I've heard, not one of Stephen King's best movies. But from what I've heard, I really haven't heard a lot about this movie, but the stuff that I have heard wasn't really that good. So yeah, I'll give it a watch, give it a try, and give it a chance, and that is Thinner. Yeah, Thinner. I don't know like a lot about it, but I haven't heard the best things about it. But I could watch it and enjoy it. There's trying to think of another movie that I actually enjoyed that got a lot of people who didn't like it. There's actually a movie in here that I actually think is actually pretty decent, but I'll get to it in a sec. I don't want to spoil the movie yet, but I'll get to it soon. But there's a movie I'm thinking about that a lot of people don't like, but I think is actually pretty decent. It has problems, but I think it's actually a pretty decent film. Which I'll get to in a second. But there are those movies out there where everybody doesn't like. From Dusk Till Dawn 2 and 3. 3 is okay, I guess. Maybe a guilty pleasure, time waster. It's very, very low budget from Dust on 3, Hangman's Daughter, but I actually found it to be pretty decent. 2, I love. I love Part 2 from Dust on Part 2. I never got why people hated that movie. I love From Dust on Part 2. But yeah, that's Stephen King's Thinner. Next movie I picked up is Creepshow, which I know for sure I'm going to be watching this probably after the video's over with because I love Creepshow. I mean, I remember being like 2 or 3 watching this movie. No, maybe not 2 and 3. I don't remember if I was that young, but 4 or 5, I would say, watching this movie as a kid. Definitely a movie that I grew up with. I'd say I grew up with this movie, Bride of Chucky, Nightmare on Elm Street, the first 3 Friday the 13th movies. Um, I grew up with Scream, Blade, The Matrix. I also grew up with trying to think of the movie. I just forgot it. Grew up with Wes Craven's Stripper in the Rainbow, Shocker, and People Under the Stairs. I grew up with another movie, but I cannot remember the name of it. And I can't remember the name of that other movie I was thinking about, but this is one of those movies I grew up with. It was one of those movies I used to watch as a kid, and I had a lot of fun with it. It didn't really scare me. The only segments that really scared me was the ending segment with the cockroaches and the crate, because the creature in that was just, scary as heck. But yeah, Creep Show. From what I've heard, not the best DVD. Actually, looking at the back of it, it's not. Only has a trailer, which is a shame. This really should get a better DVD. But I do know there's other DVDs out there, but it's just a shame that this one doesn't have that much feature because it's a well-made movie. I mean, you got Stephen King involved and George Romero getting together. Stephen King and George Romero getting together to make this movie. A lot of cool stuff in this movie. Practical effects, cool segments, a lot of fun, and really cool poster too. Love that poster. But yeah, Creepshow. I will be watching that movie probably after the review because I love Creepshow. This is probably the only action. Well, this is the only action movie I picked up. I don't really pick up a lot of action movies anymore because at my old house, well, at my dad's house, I was basically running out of space and I needed more space, so I moved my action movies and my comedies over here to mom's house, and I kept the horror movies over there, so I had more room on my shelves and stuff. But anymore, I try to pick up some good action movies. I don't really pick up a lot of action movies, but if I do, I pick up the good ones, and this one is RoboCop. This is the 2-disc unrated edition, collector's edition, and it's the 20th anniversary collector's edition, but it's also the unrated version. And from what I've heard from Andre, from a lot of my friends, that the unrated version is actually pretty cool because you got the extended scenes of blood and not blood and guts, but some really extended scenes with like the Ed 209, or I can't remember if it was Ed 209 or something like that, but it basically shoots this guy at the beginning of the movie. It just blows him away with guns. I heard it was extended and more bloody. I can't wait to watch it. I love RoboCop 1. I haven't seen RoboCop 2 and 3 yet, but I've seen the remake, and the remake freaking sucked. That was a garbage remake. That was so boring. Gosh dang, RoboCop the remake freaking sucked, but I love RoboCop 1. I haven't seen 2 and 3 yet. I know that Mike and Matt, Ran for Life, and OSP Communications, I know that they love this movie. Well, they love parts 2. They love part 2, and I've heard from everybody that part 3, sucks, but Matt and Mike both said they liked this movie, and as well as part 2. I know that Mike is a huge fan of RoboCop, and I watched this movie, and I love RoboCop. I'm a huge fan of it. But I haven't seen parts 2 and 3 yet, but I will check them out, whenever I can. But yeah, RoboCop. Open it up real fast. Has a slipcover. You get a cool booklet. Then you open it up. Has a lot of stuff in here to read. Really, really cool stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've watched this movie. I think it's a absolutely great action movie. I love it. And like I said, Matt and Mike both said they love RoboCop 2, so I'll give RoboCop 2 a watch one day as well. And RoboCop 3, I'll only pick that movie up if it's cheap. But yeah, so picked up the 2-disc collector's edition of RoboCop. Classic. Awesome action movie. Picked this movie up because it was $5, and honestly, that was probably the only reason, and probably because, I'll give it a chance, but it didn't look good. The trailer didn't look that good. From what I've heard, it doesn't look that good. Completely just destroys the purpose of the original movie. But I'll give it a chance. I'll watch it, see if it's good. But I've heard from a lot of people it freaking sucks. Picked it up for $5, not that much money, so I just figured I'd pick it up for the collection and just to give it a chance. And that is Sinister 2. Now this movie came out in like late 2015, I think, around October or something. I can't remember. And the movie looks very generic. It just doesn't look that good from what I've seen in the trailer and from what I've heard about. The first movie was meant to not be like just a throwaway horror film. It was meant to be the first Sinister. I love the first Sinister. I'm a huge fan of it. I love, love, love the first Sinister. Because when you watch that trailer, you think, oh, it's gonna be another one of those basic horror movies that come out like Ouija or Mama. But no, Sinister 1 was a very different horror film from other horror films. It had really intense scenes. It had suspense. It had atmosphere. Ethan Hawke did a good job. The cast did a decent job. Even Ethan Hawke's family did a decent job. In this movie, you have the cop from the last movie in it. That's all I know. And the family looked pretty dull and boring, and the atmosphere looked pretty dull and boring, and it didn't look nearly as intense as the first movie. But I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a chance. I know there's some people who said it was okay, but I've heard from a lot of people it's bad. So maybe a rant, but then again, I haven't seen it yet. So it could be good, but then again, I've heard a lot of bad things about it. So yeah, I picked up Sinister 2. Honestly, it was $5. It was cheap, so I picked it up, and yeah, Sinister 2. I'm not really excited to see it because I think it's going to be a bad movie, but from some people said it was okay. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't look that good from the trailer and stuff. Picked up a movie called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. And I found out about this movie from, I believe it was the Shocking Truth documentary on the original Chainsaw Massacre 2-disc set, which I have the 4-disc set now. I got two DVDs and 2 Blu-rays, which I like that edition a little bit more because it has Blu-rays included. And it has all the features from the 2-disc Ultimate Edition plus more. So, I mean, you're getting the same amount of features plus more and new features. So, I mean, I love that edition. the 4 disc set for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original movie. Um, but I heard about this movie on that documentary. If you guys watch a documentary called The Shocking Truth, or the original movie, if you guys have the DVD, the 2 disc Ultimate Edition, or the 4 disc 40th Anniversary Collector's Edition of Chainsaw Massacre, the original movie, if you guys watch The Shocking Truth, this poster is in there. It talks about how there was a bunch of movies coming out in the early 70s, and young filmmakers depicting a wild, dysfunctional America, and it showed a bunch of posters. One of them was like "I Drink Your Blood," and then one of them was this movie, and it caught my eye. I'm like, "What? Children shouldn't play with dead things. What the heck is this?" And I seen it at the DVD shop. I was like, "What? I heard about this movie." And from what I've heard, it's pretty weird. It's PG. So I mean, and it surprised me because you look at that front cover, you see a zombie, you see that, you see the back of it, you see more zombies. You think it was rated R, but it's PG, so I'm not sure if you're gonna get a lot of gore. But it does say this is the uncut version. Now this was directed by Benjamin Clark, and the thing about this movie is that Benjamin Clark is actually Bob Clark, the maker of Black Christmas and A Christmas Story, as well as Porky's. And he's a very famous director, and this is actually, I think, his first movie, I believe. But, yeah, children shouldn't play with dead things. I haven't heard a tremendous amount of things about this movie. I really haven't, but I've been interested in seeing it since I heard about it on the Shocking True documentary. Which, if you guys don't own that DVD, the 2 disc Ultimate Edition of Chainsaw, or the 4 disc 40th Anniversary Edition of Chainsaw, the Shocking Truth documentary is on YouTube. If you guys just look it up, Shocking Truth documentary for Texas Massacre, it's on YouTube. It's for free. I watched it for free on YouTube. It's a little bit different than the documentary on the DVD, but it's pretty much the same one. It's a little bit different, but it's essentially the same documentary. But yeah, children shouldn't play with dead things. I mean, I don't know. I mean, directed by Bob Clark, the early days of Bob Clark. Of course, here listed as Benjamin Clark. And even the lead character, I believe. Basically the Alan Ormsby character, the lead character. Basically, in this movie, there's even a quote on it that says, has been called one of the most obnoxious screen performances in history. But he's actually been involved in My Bodyguard movies. The movies like My Bodyguard, Cat People, Karate Kid Part 3, and Porky's 2. So, the writer or the main actor and the director both wanted to go do some pretty well. The writer didn't do that much, but because Karate Kid 3 I heard sucked, and I watched a little bit of it and it was boring, but Cat People and Bodyguard and Porky's 2. So the writer went on to go do more movies, write more movies, or the lead actor went on to go write more movies, and the director went on to go direct some classics like Black Christmas and Christmas Story, and as well as Porky's. And so yeah, I mean, children shouldn't play with dead things. I'll give it a watch. From what I've heard, it's a pretty weird movie, but yeah, I seen it. I was like, oh, cool. So yeah, children shouldn't play with dead things. Really, really interested in seeing it. And the last DVD I have here is a 2-pack, and it is Poltergeist 2, The Other Side, and Poltergeist 3. Now, Poltergeist 2, I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen any of it yet, but I do want to watch it. Now, Poltergeist 3. Getting to Poltergeist 3. A lot of people hate this movie. A lot of people despise Poltergeist 3. People can't stand Poltergeist 3. I thought that Poltergeist 3 was pretty decent. I mean, compared to what the remake looks like, Poltergeist 3 looks actually, I mean, not looks, but I've seen it. But Poltergeist 3, in my opinion, probably very alone in this because a lot of people hate this movie. Poltergeist 3 is okay. It's even a guilty pleasure. I can even honestly say that Poltergeist 3 is a guilty pleasure. I think it's okay. It's decent. You have some practical effects in there, a cool idea of the mirrors, cool idea of, just using the mirrors for the ghost advantage and stuff like that. You got some really cool illusions in there. Pretty cool scenes, in my opinion, like a water puddle scene, where like there's a hand that, I believe it's like a hand that comes out or something like that. pretty cool scenes in my opinion. Yes, the idea of I guess the character Kane coming back to get the Carol Ann character was pretty dumb. I mean, there was no reason for him to come back, from what I've heard. Um, and you have a different actor playing the character Kane. You've also got, from what I've heard, well, from and also the acting wasn't really that good from Tom Skerritt's wife. But I thought the girl from the movie did a good job playing Carol Ann. Of course, after this movie came out, I think she passed away, and it was so sad because she did a good job in these movies. Um, but Poltergeist 3, a lot of people don't like it. People say they don't. It's not a good sequel. It sucks. I actually think it's actually a time waster, a guilty pleasure. I think it's okay. I know I'm alone in this. No, not everybody does not like Poltergeist 3. I get that, but I think it's just an okay, decent time waster, guilty pleasure. So picked up Poltergeist 2 and 3. Like I said, I haven't seen Poltergeist 2 yet, but I will give it a watch. And Poltergeist 3, I think it's an actual okay, decent time waster. And I know I'm alone saying that, but I think Tom Skerritt did a good job in the movie. The girl who played Carol Ann did a good job. Granted, I didn't care for the wife of Tom Skerritt. She didn't do her acting was pretty bad. Um, you get the girl from the original movie coming back. I can't remember her name, but I do believe she does come back in this movie at the end of the basically towards the middle part or the end of the movie. I can't remember, but she comes back. She comes back into the movie, or into the comes back to return in Poltergeist 3. But yeah, I mean, you had practical effects in there. But it's a sequel that gets a lot of hate. A lot of people don't like it. And if you guys aren't, if any of you guys aren't fans of Poltergeist 3, that's fine. I just think it's an okay, decent time waster, guilty pleasure. It's not a, it is definitely not a perfect movie. There's a lot of problems with it. The pace sometimes. Well, honestly, I can't even say the pace. Honestly, the pace went by fast. If I think about it, it went by fast, decent pace. Atmosphere was done well. It had a very gloomy atmosphere. Cool idea of the mirrors. Good score. Um, but some of the characters weren't really that likable. Some of the acting was pretty bad. But I thought overall Poltergeist 3 was actually a decent time waster, guilty pleasure of a film. I don't hate Poltergeist 3. Um, but yeah, Poltergeist 2 and 3 double pack. So, anyways, guys, that's my DVD update. And yeah, picked up some pretty cool movies. Picked up Thinner and Sinister 2 and Children Shouldn't Play Dead Things. Creepshow is a classic. RoboCop is a classic. Um, yeah, pretty cool pickups. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my DVD update, and I'll see you guys on the next review. Bye, guys.